one of the members of the board slips a piece of paper across the table and says, Mr. Kirsten, we'd like to offer you a contract. Would you sign? So I kind of look at the contract. No one's saying anything. And I'm kind of looking for my name on the contract, and I don't see my name, but I did see Greg Chappell's name, the previous coach, you see. So I slid the contract back and I said, sir, I think you've given me the wrong contract. So he kind of looks at it. He takes out a pen, scratches out Greg Chappell's name and writes my name on it, and then gives me the contract.
Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of the SportsTech ALLSTARS podcast. Your host Rowan back again, and this time kicking us off on a new monthly theme. Our theme for the month of October is innovation in cricket tech. It's a topic that I've been dying to talk about ever since I got into the sports tech space. Cricket as a sport is very close to my heart. But thankfully, also, the timing is good because this is gaining importance on the international stage for a couple of reasons. One, there is the Cricket World Cup, which is about to kick off as well. And there is another league which has entered the fray, the American Major League Cricket, of course, which has come to the US. And when the Americans do it, they want to do something right. With that said, with all this money and with all this new stuff happening in the cricket tech space, I wanted somebody to kick us off on this series. And who better than somebody who's played a bit of cricket in his life? You might have heard the name, Gary Kirsten. Welcome to the show, Gary.
Thanks, Ryan. How are you?
I am good. How are you? And you're in Cape Town, you just told me.
Yeah, Cape Town. Looking forward to summer. It's been what people were saying, our wettest winter in the last 40 years. So, dams are all full, lots of water available, and looking forward to some warm weather.
Yeah, we're coming to the end of ours in Berlin, but we're not here to talk about the weather. Sorry to bring that up. Instead, I want to talk about cricket tech. And for those of you who might not know Gary, I don't know where to start. This is a bit of a fanboy moment for me as well, because Gary is a true legend of the game in South Africa and in India. Arguably, one of the best things to ever happen to Indian cricket. Not my words, in the words of MS Dhoni, who is also arguably for most people one of the best things to happen to Indian cricket. Gary has represented South Africa over 280 times. He has scored a ton of runs, the fourth highest test match scorer for South Africa. And after a very successful stint as a cricketer, he went on to become a very successful coach as well, taking India to a World Cup, and has also got a couple of IPL wins as part of a coaching team. Well, one, I believe, under his belt now. So Gary comes with a ton of experience. Apart from his innings as a professional cricketer and a coach, he is also a startup founder. We're going to talk about that, his startup, CoachED, in a minute. But Gary, I tried to do a bit of an introduction. I've done absolutely no justice to you at all, I feel. But maybe for somebody who might not know you, just tell us a bit about your journey from where you've grown up in a cricketing house to actually setting up CoachED, which is what takes up a bit of your time now.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. I grew up in a sport mad family. We were four brothers spread across two marriages, so two half brothers and one proper brother and a half sister. But there were kind of four of us as brothers playing any sport that we could get our hands on. So that was a privilege, to grow up in that way. And in South Africa, we've always had the privilege of a lot of space, and wherever we could find a field, we would either be playing rugby or we'd be playing cricket. My dad was a keen cricket person. Passed away quite young at 60. I was 18 years of age at that point. But just before he passed away, he was the grounds administrator at Newlands Cricket Grounds, and we actually lived on the premises there. So I always boasted to all my mates that I had the biggest back garden in the world. Played all our sport on the hallowed turf of Newlands Cricket, where I was very fortunate to play a lot of first class and international cricket at. I had a 17-year professional playing career, played 11 years for South Africa, real privilege as we were back into international competition. So that was incredible to suddenly go on the tours that we went to around the world. I think I went on about 37, 38 international tours with South Africa. Retired in 2004, and then have been a coach ever since, which is 19 years now. So I've been a coach longer than I was a player, and yeah, kind of seen a massive transition in coaching, and the introduction of a new format, which was T20 cricket. I never played a T20 game. I've only ever coached in it, and then through the advent of IPL, which is the strongest domestic cricket league in the world, we were able to start to see the way coaching was going to shift and how important it was for a coach to be able to look at all the factors that could give competitive advantage. And I guess from that point, I built up this kind of this career in coaching. And whilst we were in the throes of COVID, I thought, well, I've got to be able to keep coaching, and we designed and built an online coaching platform, or coach education platform, which offered 3 or 4 courses to coaches who wanted to upskill. And we still do that at the moment and have a lot of fun doing it. So my passion really is around coach education. To be honest with you, it's something that I love doing, but I also enjoy being in the cut and thrust of the game at its most professional in a domestic space, which is IPL.
I think we're going to talk a little bit about your cricketing career. I don't want to focus too much on it. I'm sure you've covered it in countless interviews in the past, and instead talk about you as a coach. I watched an interview while I was looking up stuff for this recording, and about how you got the job of the Indian coach, which I didn't know was a story that, in your words, with 0 hours of coaching experience.
Yeah.
And this is some incredible story where you just got an email from Sunil Gavaskar, who is, again, a legend of Indian cricket, arguably one of the top 2-3 cricketers that they've ever produced. You get an email and you respond, you get on a flight and so on, without getting too much into the story. And this sets you on a journey. Or maybe you want to share that story again, but this sets you on a journey for where you are today, pretty much, no?
Yeah, it was absolutely incredible to have the opportunity, to be honest with you. And I think where Indian cricket were at the time was that they had a tumultuous period of not doing well in the 2007 World Cup under their coach Greg Chappell, who was an Australian, and there seemed to be a disconnect between the players and the leadership. And I think after that, at that point, they were looking for someone to complement the captain of the team that would, fit the personality of the team. And that's how, in a very bizarre fashion, my name came into the hat, I suppose, because I hadn't put my name in the hat. And then I think they went. I think they went on a journey of trying to understand who the new coach would be, and I think they went through a lot of different applications. And I was probably the last name in the hat, to be honest with you, before they were going to go back out and go find people. But that's how it came about, in quite bizarre fashion. And I was offered the contract pretty quickly, to be honest with you. So I think they were kind of rushed to get it done. And there is a funny story around it, which we don't need to go into. But I think it was a massive, privilege to be offered the position with very limited.
Please, Gary, we have all the time in the world for a funny story. You can't drop us that and then not go into it.
Okay, well, if you want me to talk to mention it, it was, I think you gave it context. I got offered this this chance to go to an interview, and I arrived in India and kind of went through the air bridge and saw my name on a placard in Delhi airport, and all the other passengers were off to the right, and I went left and got through Delhi International Airport in about 5 minutes, which is not usual for a normal passenger. But then I'm in India in the name of cricket, so it changes the landscape a bit. And then I got driven to Taj Palace Hotel, which is a hotel I was familiar with, go up the ramp, and then they take me down the other side of the ramp and they drop me off behind the back of the hotel, the service entrance, and they say go up to room 501, and I'm trying to figure out why I'm being sent around the back of the hotel, and they were worried about the media spotting me, and I'm going, well, I'm just one person. They don't know. They know a lot of people know who I am, but they won't know why I'm here. So why is it such an issue? And then I realized that actually they did know that I was potentially going to be in the country, and they also knew why I was there. So that's why it became an issue. Anyway, 5 hours later, I get put back in the car, and I arrive at this very fancy sports facility, which I realized was obviously where I was going to have my interview. And the first person I bumped into was Anil Kumble, the captain of the team. And Anil said, "Gary, what are you doing here?" I said, "Well, I come for an interview to coach you." So we kind of laughed about it a bit. And, 10 minutes later, I go into this committee room, fairly intimidating, to be honest with you, because there was a whole lot of board official members, BCCI board official members there. Ravi Shastri was there, Sunil Gavaskar, Anil Kumble. And the first question that got asked of me was, "Mr. Kirsten, will you present your vision for Indian cricket?" To which I replied, "Well, I don't have one." I wasn't asked to prepare anything. And to be quite frank, I think it would have been arrogant for me to prepare something, because I needed to understand the landscape and understand the environment and what was required. One of my first lessons when I actually started the job is to actually spend a bit of time listening and understanding these players rather than presenting a new way of playing cricket for them. Anyway, so the second question that was asked, because I didn't have an answer to the first, was from Ravi Shastri. And he said, "Well, Gary, why don't you talk to us about how you as a South African team, devised a strategy to beat the Indians?" We had quite a lot of success against the Indian team. So I thought that was a good icebreaker, and I answered it in about 90 seconds, all the same sort of stuff that we do all the time. And next thing, one of the members of the board slips a piece of paper across the table and says, "Mr. Kirsten, we'd like to offer you a contract. Would you sign?" So I kind of look at the contract. No one's saying anything. And I'm kind of looking for my name on the contract, and I don't see my name, but I did see Greg Chappell's name, the previous coach, you see. So I slid the contract back, and I said, "Sir, I think you've given me the wrong contract." So he kind of looks at it. He takes out a pen, scratches out Greg Chappell's name, and writes my name on it, and then gives me the contract.
As you do.
Yeah, gives me the contract. And on the back of that, I was under pressure, because I needed to make a decision. And I asked if I could have some time to go back and chat to my wife. And they said, "How long do you want?" And I said, "Well, can I have 5 days?" They said, "Cool." And I didn't realize that in India, when you show intent, that's pretty much enough. You don't need to do anything else. Because the next day when I woke up and I turned my TV on and I flicked across the 7 or 8 news channels, my face was on every single one of them, with the title, "Our New Indian Coach."
Fair enough. All right. Yeah, a not no is a tacit yes, basically, in that situation. Yeah.
Yeah. So just showing intent was kind of how I
Awesome.
landed the job.
Okay, I mean, thank you for indulging me with that story. I heard it just this morning. I was like, I didn't know. As somebody who grew up, well, kind of cursing you a bit because you just did score a lot of runs against us in India, against India, and then saw you on the shoulders of these all the athletes that have grown up supporting us, you walking around the Wakede with the World Cup trophy aloft. Incredible moments that you are indelibly ingrained in the minds of every Indian cricketer. And that story to happen like this, in this way, it's just
Yeah.
such a bizarre moment.
In many
But
in many ways, like the one thing I've got to compliment them on is they were trying to match, a personality to the team.
right,
And the thinking was that through various connections that they had with other people, I know Sunil had, especially in the commentary box, my name cropped up as a good personality for the team, and they were actually spot on. I mean, that's my personality was actually well suited to what the team was requiring, bearing in mind it was a lot of senior players in the team who were in their own individual right very successful cricketers, but they weren't connecting the dots as a group of people, and they were looking for a personality that would work with the team, and they actually got that spot on.
and maybe that's something that you talk about through. And let's come to CoachED, the platform that we're here to talk about today. This the personality of the coach is so important for the imprint it leaves on the team, and well, the marriage of the two. Like you see the English team today playing a very aggressive brand of cricket and baseball, and very front foot coach, as you would call him, and other teams might be suited for different types of coaches. So is that part of what you cover? So let's talk about CoachEd. First of all, what is the platform? What have you built? Your co-founder Russell, who's not here today, what you guys have built together, and what do you cover in terms of tools that you empower coaches with?
Yeah, so the reason why we set up CoachEd, and there are actually 5 founders, so there's quite a few of us.
Okay.
But we sat one day as a group of people, and we just said, one of the biggest issues that we have in coach education around the world at the moment is lack of access to coaching, because all the courses that you need to go on are kind of these physical, practical places. You need to go to the facilities, and um, it hasn't changed for many many years. But each test playing nation runs its own coach education programs, and there's still many barriers to entry. They're all the same actually across the different test playing nations. You have to apply to get your level 3, and the level 3 is kind of regarded as I want to become a professional coach. That's my aspiration. So I need to have a level 3 certificate. There are 4 levels you can go through, and I think the reason why we certainly the pain that we saw with coaches was that they could just never get onto these courses, and we experienced that firsthand with our coaches at our academy. So we decided, what about just building our own courses, and providing access to better knowledge and to a better understanding of coaching online. So we actually took 4 years to build the material, and we created 11 modules, which covers everything that we felt we needed to that a coach needs to know if he's working with a team or he's working with individuals. So we built the whole thing online through a series of video materials, plus written content, and then we put it on an LMS system so that people would then have to pass each module, and once they pass the module, they then get the level 1, 2, or 3 or 4 certificate. We built our own levels in, which are not, they're not endorsed by any higher authorities. It's just really for a coach who wants to, work on his continued professional development and wants to get more courses under his CV. So everything's digitized. We've got a digital certificate we give all the alumni, and the whole thing's pretty much done online. So it's very exciting. We run, so in some of our cohorts, our higher levels, we kind of run all these online sessions, which we lecture at. We also get guest coaches in, and we create this online community and environment where people can learn.
Yeah, you mentioned at the start a level 3 coach, which is, I guess, what the ICC, the International Cricket Council, will recognize, and you've tried to develop your own certification level, which maybe there's a translation, there isn't, that is not the point, but the goal of trying to educate the coach, and trying to standardize coaching, as you said, maybe it's not available everywhere. So by making it online, it is now, of course, available everywhere. I was looking through some of the information on the website, and you've got coaches from literally everywhere. Lots of South Africans, Australians, and Brits, of course. But I saw a Spaniard on there, some people from other parts of Africa, like who've gone through the program. So clearly, where it's allowing coaches that might not have had access to this level of coaching to now have access, which then empowers the growth of cricket everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it is a fully global environment that we are allowed to offer. And I think we've now got coaches on our platform from over 35 different countries in the world. So cricket playing countries. So that's very exciting for us. So we certainly are offering a service, and we've now had on our elite course, which is our level 4, which is 11-week course. We're now into our 9th cohort, which is we've had 9 of them, and typically we normally have 15 to 20 coaches on each cohort. That's gone really well for us. On the level 3, we've also had 9 cohorts. So we kind of over about 1,000 coaches now that have been active and transacting on the CoachED platform.
So maybe talk to us a little bit about the successes that you've encountered, that you've faced. I mean, you talked about a lot of coaches who come through the cohorts, of course, but maybe there are some large federations or leagues or associations that you've managed to work with to, let's say, grow the cricket in those countries as well.
Yeah, we have. We have had a number of associate playing nations who we've engaged with that they battle to create these educational environments just because of a lack of resources. So we've been able to bridge a gap for them. You take Sweden, cricket in Sweden, for example, we've done quite a big contract with them. Malaysian cricket, we've done a sizable contract with them. Canada, we have. Bermuda, we have. America, interestingly enough, there's a big interest in the game in America, and we haven't actually done a kind of a package with the American cricket, but we've got a lot of individuals who have signed up onto CoachED who just want to qualify themselves up more. So, the CoachED certificate's now got some relevance in the cricket marketplace, and we're starting to see CoachED qualified coaches now picking up work opportunities in various schools in the UK and in South Africa and in Australia. So it's nice to know that, once they've completed the courses and got their certificate, that it now holds value when they go and look for work opportunity.
Which is important. I mean, now the growth of franchise cricket, the T20 format that we, it's a bit of fun, maybe as purists, not for purists, but you can't argue that, it's an entertainment value for sure. And Major League Cricket, as I said in the intro, you just mentioned, has come into the US and launched with quite a bang. It was only a 2-week tournament, I believe in August, I think it was, or the end of July, actually. And did only one round, but packed stadiums, 15, 20,000 people, really good response, interest from sponsors and advertisers and all sorts. It feels like there is a movement, and we've seen franchise cricket. America's the latest place that it has come to, but in the big cricketing nations, India, Australia, South Africa, the West Indies, Pakistan, Bangladesh, everybody has their own kind of elite level franchise cricket league. So therefore, the demand for coaches, I would also imagine, is growing through franchise cricket. Do you see that as a trend?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you've nailed it. I mean, there's definitely a bigger demand, and there's more opportunity for a coaching career, around the world. And the important thing is that the coaching is now not reserved for the ex-player who wants to stay in the game anymore, because I think coaching demands a lot more than that. There's a lot more skills required, number one. And then number two, I think the exciting bit about franchise cricket is that it opens up doors to associate nations. So you think of America, you think of Canada. They've got a really nice league going. The Emirates have got a nice league going. Sorry, not the Emirates, UAE. You think of a lot of different countries in the associate space that are building successful leagues for themselves. So the opportunities are massive from a coaching perspective.
Good timing for you. And then post-COVID, again, right man in the right place. Excellent stuff. And I want to hear a lot more about CoachED, but now I want to shift to CricketTech as an overall space, and how the role of what the role technology plays in either you delivering your program, which is online, so that's fair, but actually in the program itself, how big a role is it as part of the let's say coaching curriculum that you're introducing to these new coaches?
It's becoming more and more relevant, Ryan. And I think cricket has probably been a little bit behind the times when it comes to the use of technology to for a team to find competitive advantage. You certainly see in the American sports it's been used significantly over a decent period of time. Certainly a sporting code that we're really familiar with is rugby union in South Africa, and they've used analytics and data and video analysis to a massive degree as well. And I think cricket's kind of been a bit slow on the uptake, but it's definitely on the rise. And certainly from a coaching perspective, I think we're realizing the importance of where we can find competitive advantage by how well we decode the much of the data that is available to us. I still think that the data is going to be used most effectively by your leads, and that's your coach and your captain. And the coaches are now becoming much more open to using information to help formulate strategy, rather than just relying on instinct and gut feel and kind of what the game has given us over many years. And I'm a classic case in that. I mean, I started coaching when there was very little use of analytics and data to build strategy, and then through the years from 2008 through now to 2023, I'm kind of living in a coaching world of short format cricket where the science of the game is becoming much more relevant. So we are now building a lot more thinking and strategy around what the data numbers are giving us, but at the same time integrating it into the bigger picture, rather than it is the way, the truth, and the light. I think you're still dealing with human beings, and human beings still make mistakes that algorithms and AI can't necessarily pick up. But we're certainly moving closer towards integrating technology and data in such a way that it's useful for us to build strategy and win games of cricket.
And we've seen this across sports. Cricket, as you said, is still in its infancy with tech and, well, let's say data-driven decision making. Let's put it that way. But we've seen this a lot in all other sports that have gone through this life cycle, where every athlete needs a data translator, effectively. So how do you, somebody who can convert numbers on a spreadsheet or a piece of paper into actionable insights that I can use to improve my game and perform on the field? Of course, that's a part of, I guess, a part of the coach's job now, to be that interpreter, to do this translation function. But B, also there is somebody on the technical side who has to feed the coach.
Correct.
Because the coach suddenly doesn't become
Correct.
Let's say, a technical analyst. So is that also part of the role now, to understand that the coaching team needs that role? Is that a new role that I think we've seen this in cricket over the last few years, that every team travels with an analyst and there's somebody in the background sitting on a laptop while the field of play is going? Is that also part of the remit, that the coaching staff requires a bigger, beefier team behind them?